After the jaw-dropping moments and world records set by the cliffhanger at the end of Season 2, a One Production Studios green light for Season 3, and even interrupting local Japanese BS11 news.
臨時ニュースです。ついに新たな S 級ハンターが誕生しました。
We're all left wondering, what's next? Welcome to VoxAnime Chronicles, your ultimate portal for breaking news on upcoming series and in-depth dives into evolving manga and manhwa. Like and subscribe for insider insights that reveal the hidden layers of your favorite stories. Let's take a step into the aftermath of the Red Gate, where a bold new chapter unfolds. After dispatching the initial horde of magical beasts at the Red Gate, Jinwoo pressed onward with his summoned soldiers until setting his sights on the next target. Suddenly, the dungeon boss appeared, flanked by his elite guards. Scanning the chaotic field for the culprit behind the carnage of his forces, his eyes fixed on Jinwoo, a presence so formidable it unsettled him instantly. Before the boss could even order his troops, a grim truth became clear. The entire army had already been eliminated. Finding dark humor in the turn of events, Jinwoo calmly ordered his shadow soldiers to reveal themselves, and with a steely gaze, commanded them to finish off the remaining adversaries. His shadow legion advanced with an aura so overpowering it couldn't be ignored. When a magical beast charged ferociously at them, it was swiftly overwhelmed. The battlefield erupted into chaos as Jinwoo's forces methodically dismantled their foes, tearing them apart piece by piece. With his minions decimating his army, the boss, now gripped by paralyzing terror, could only watch as his allies fell. His anguished roars echoed through the dungeon as he desperately called out for his fallen subordinates, only to find no help coming. In a final desperate move, the boss lunged forward. But Baru, moving with lightning speed, struck first, driving his claws into the beast's flesh. Igris followed immediately, severing one arm in a single, fluid motion, while Tusk delivered the finishing blow by slamming the boss violently to the ground. The impact sent tremors across the entire battlefield. When the dust finally settled, Jinwoo stepped into the silence. Before him lay the boss, barely alive in a pool of his own blood. Demanding answers, Jinwoo received nothing, likely due to the system's interference, which once again kept crucial information under wraps. Shifting his focus, Jinwoo opened his inventory and retrieved a key. The cursed random box key he had won after defeating Baron in the Demon Castle. Back then, the key had revealed nothing, leaving him puzzled. After reaching level 100 and securing his achievements in the Jeju Island raid, the conditions were met. The system had at long last disclosed its secret. This rare key wasn't worthless at all. It was the key to the Cardanon Temple's gate. A message had appeared, indicating that once the designated time had elapsed, the gate's precise location would be unveiled. The very name of the temple struck a deep chord within him. A rush of memories from the double dungeon, of an ancient temple marked by eerie stone statues and a peculiar stone slate. Suddenly, all the pieces began to align. Jinwoo realized that the system was summoning him back to his origins, the birthplace of his reawakening as a hunter. This time, everything felt preordained, as if the system had been orchestrating his return all along. Accepting that call, Jinwoo steeled himself for the challenge ahead. In his mind, he vowed that the statue of God should await his arrival, because he was coming and nothing would stand in his way. As Jinwoo stepped out of the Red Gate after clearing it, daylight had already begun to break. He started toward his car, planning a quick trip to his guild office, when a man suddenly intercepted him. The stranger introduced himself as Adam White, a senior official from the Federal Bureau of Hunters. There was an unmistakable gravity in his manner that hinted at something far more significant. Jinwoo couldn't help but ask why Adam had journeyed all the way from the United States just to meet him. Adam's response was brief yet magnetic, saying how they help special hunters like Jinwoo across the world. Then he stated a single word, upgrader. Those 3 syllables stopped Jinwoo in his tracks, stirring a quiet yet insistent intrigue. The scene then flashed back to a time and placed far removed from Jinwoo's current path. In America, amid the dim light of a forbidding high-level dungeon, a strike squad found themselves ensnared by peril. Terror was etched on the squad leader's face as an icy presence made itself known. Before him emerged Silid, the Frost Monarch, a relentless figure on a hunt for the hidden rulers of the realm. No sooner had Silid taken in his grim surroundings than a creaking gate swung open behind him, revealing Yogimont, the Transfiguration Monarch. Yogimont advanced swiftly, urgency fueling his every step. He brought urgent news about a small island to the east, a land that, despite being claimed by Silid, was said to be the stronghold of the enigmatic Shadow Monarch. Yogimon explained that the current rulers were plotting to free Legia, the king of giants and the monarch of the beginning, to the south of that territory, and that he needed to move at once. He pressed on, urging the Frost Monarch to secure the east. Yet, Silid's cautious nature demanded further clarification. And what of the Shadow Monarch? Yogimont reassured him that once the ancient architect fulfilled the age-old contract, the balance would be restored as planned. Then, with an unmistakable glint of excitement, he revealed that the greatest fragment of light, a rare target of immeasurable value, had been located in that very eastern domain. Before the gravity of this revelation could settle, Silid's senses caught a sudden, formidable presence. A powerful ruler had arrived. It was Il-Hwan, Jinwoo's father, who had deliberately left traces of his might across the land as a lure to draw the monarchs into America. His eyes burned with fury as he demanded to know whether they were referring to Korea as the small island to the east. As the tension mounted, Silid confirmed it with a mocking challenge, daring Il-Hwan to pursue if he had the courage. Unwilling to back down, Il-Hwan launched a ferocious attack. Yet Silid, with his icy mastery, summoned a colossal wall of frozen power that exploded upon impact, shaking the very foundations of the dungeon. The scene then ended as Jin-woo continued to absorb Adam's enigmatic declaration. Intrigued but resolute, he listened as Adam offered further explanation, and the two soon set off to meet the Bureau's deputy director. Upon arriving, Jinwoo was greeted by Michael Connor, an efficient, no-nonsense deputy director who wasted no time. Connor extended an invitation for Jinwoo to join the American hunters, though Jinwoo was less concerned with the proposal itself than with uncovering the truth behind the elusive upgrader. At that moment, a middle-aged woman named Norma Selner entered the room. Introduced by Connor as the upgrader, the sole individual in the world capable of enhancing the abilities of awakened beings, Miss Selner began to explain her power. She asserted that upon completing all 3 stages of her process, one could expect a 20 to 30% boost in strength. When she mentioned those numbers, Jinwoo's mind raced. 20 to 30%. No way. I understand why Hwang Dong-soo decided to move to America despite all the criticism from South Korea. Who can refuse? All the other hunters will fall for it too. In that charged moment, the true magnitude of Norma Selner's power became undeniable. Jinwoo understood that her abilities were not mere tricks, but forces capable of reshaping fate itself. Michael Connor stepped forward, explaining that the Bureau not only safeguarded her, but compensated her handsomely to enhance their chosen hunters. While such upgrades were typically strategic assets, this one was being offered as a genuine gift. Jinwoo, ever perceptive and cautious, couldn't help but remark, "Isn't this more like a deal than a gift?" He suspected that accepting the upgrade might come with hidden obligations, perhaps even binding him to America's Federal Bureau of Hunters. In response, Connor reassured him that it was indeed a gift. Moreover, should Jinwoo decide to come to America, he would still retain the freedom to join any guild he wished. With a calming certainty, Norma Selner then clarified. The first stage of her upgrade was indeed a gift, entirely free of strings attached. To demonstrate her extraordinary power, she gently took Jinwoo's wrist and invited him to meet her gaze. In that intense, unspoken moment, their eyes locked, a silent promise of transformation unfolding before them. Connor, watching every nuance, was convinced that once Jinwoo experienced the upgrade, he would be convinced to formalize the agreement. However, what happened next left everyone in stunned silence. As Miss Selner maintained eye contact with Jinwoo, an overwhelming darkness suddenly swallowed her. She scanned the room frantically, but saw nothing until a looming, ominous shadow emerged and inched closer, its presence both terrifying and undeniable. Overcome by fear, she screamed and toppled from her chair, her voice lost in a moment of sheer shock. In the ensuing chaos, two agents guarding her immediately drew their guns toward Jinwoo. Alarmed by their impulsive reaction, Connor bellowed for them to lower their weapons, reminding them of Jinwoo's formidable reputation and the dire consequences of reckless action. He warned that if anyone had treated someone like Thomas Andre or Liu Shigang in such a manner, there would have been no chance of redemption. Realizing their mistake, the agents swiftly holstered their firearms and rushed to aid the trembling Miss Selner. Turning back to Jinwoo, Connor bowed deeply while apologizing profusely for the agent's overzealousness and asked to reschedule their meeting. Though still processing the uncanny event, Jinwoo reassured him that all was well. As Jinwoo departed from the room, the air remained thick with tension. Meanwhile, Connor hurried to Miss Selner's side, intent on understanding what had transpired. With a voice barely above a whisper and breath shaky, she confided that Jinwoo was no ordinary hunter. He was a king, a force of nature unlike anyone she had ever encountered. Struggling to fully grasp the weight of her words, Connor inquired whether this placed Jinwoo on par with the nation's most elite hunters. But Miss Selner, still visibly shaken, explained that such comparisons were meaningless. What she had witnessed transcended mere rankings. She described a sensation that had stirred her very soul. When she looked at Jinwoo, she saw not just a man, but a deep, inner force, a presence so potent it seemed to reach inside her very being. With a final, unsettling revelation, she admitted that there was no limit to Jinwoo's power. The Bureau had arrived anticipating a recruit, armed with what they believed to be a valuable asset, only to unearth a mystery that defied all conventional understanding. That's a wrap for today's deep dive into the unfolding epic beyond the Red Gate. We've witnessed dramatic revelations, from a mysterious gift of the Upgrader and the staggering power of Norma Selner, to the fierce clashes between ancient monarchs and Jinwoo's own bloodline. Each moment leaves us craving more, and hints an even grander saga on the horizon. If you enjoyed this journey into the heart of the narrative, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think will rise, and what hidden powers will define the next chapter of this legendary tale? Stay tuned to VoxAnime Chronicles, where we bring you the latest updates and in-depth explorations into the world of manga, manhwa, and everything in between. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled. The next chapter is just around the corner.